My name is Alan Mercer, but everyone calls me Coach Al. I'm 65 years old, and on what should have been one of the happiest days of my life, the day I finally retired after 40 years of teaching and coaching high school football, everything changed. For 2 years, I believed my wife was battling depression. I drove her to therapy, cooked her meals, canceled fishing trips, and told everyone she just needed time to heal. I begged her to talk to me, but she only grew colder. Then, one afternoon, while cleaning the kitchen, I saw her laptop left open, and what I read shattered everything I knew. A shared Google Doc titled Our New Life, full of flight itineraries, home listings, and messages between her and a man named D. Messages like, once he signs the papers, we're free. He still believes I'm too broken to leave. I didn't confront her, not yet, because what she didn't know was that I was about to turn her entire plan against her. But before I tell you what happened next, let me know in the comments. Where are you watching this from? To everyone supporting this community, thank you. Your messages keep me strong. And if this is your first time here, subscribe and hit that bell, because no one deserves to be betrayed in silence. You're not just watching a story, you're joining a family. Now, let me take you back to the day I realized the woman I loved was living 2 lives. It was a Thursday afternoon in March. I remember because I'd just come back from my retirement party at the school. 40 years of teaching history and coaching football, and they'd sent me off with a gold watch and a stadium full of memories. Claire hadn't come. She'd said that morning she wasn't feeling up to it. Too many people. Too much noise. I understood, or thought I did. You go, honey, she'd whispered from bed, not even lifting her head from the pillow. This is your day. Don't let me ruin it. I'd kissed her forehead, told her I'd bring home cake. The house was quiet when I got back. Claire's car was in the driveway, but she wasn't in the bedroom. I figured she'd gone for one of her walks. The therapist said exercise helped with the depression. I went to the kitchen to make coffee and maybe eat something. The retirement cake sat heavy in my stomach, all that sweetness and forced celebration. That's when I saw it. Her laptop was open on the kitchen table, just sitting there, screen bright, like she'd stepped away for a moment. I wasn't going to look. I want you to understand that. In 37 years of marriage, I'd never once gone through her things. Never checked her phone, never read her emails. That's not who I am. But the document was right there, and the title caught my eye. Our New Life. I stood there for maybe 10 seconds, coffee mug in hand, staring at those 3 words. Our new life? Was she planning something for us? Some surprise for my retirement? I sat down. The document was a Google Doc, shared between 2 accounts, Claire's and someone listed as dwinters1959gmail.com. My chest tightened. D. Winters. I knew that name. David Winters. He'd been at our wedding. He'd been Claire's boyfriend in college before we met. He'd reached out on Facebook about 3 years ago. Just a friendly, "Hey, how have you been?" Claire had shown me the message, laughed about it. Can you believe David found me? After all these years? I scrolled down. The first section was labeled Timeline. March the 30th, a files for divorce. April 15th, house goes on market. May 1st, estimated closing. May 15th, flight to Costa Rica. June the 1st, rental in Tamarindo begins. A files for divorce. A was me. Alan. My hands started shaking. The next section, finances. Detailed breakdowns of Claire's secret savings account, $67,000 I didn't know existed. Lists of my assets, my pension, my 401k, with notes about what she'd be entitled to in the divorce. California community property laws copied and pasted from legal websites. Then the messages. Comments in the margins. Time-stamped over the past 8 months. D. Winters, 1959. Can't wait to wake up next to you without sneaking around Claire. Mercer. Just a few more months of this performance. D. Winters, 1959. You deserve an Oscar for this depression act. Claire Mercer, he made dinner again last night. Salmon, lit candles. I wanted to scream, D. Winters, 1959. Once he signs the papers, we're free. Claire Mercer, he still believes I'm too broken to leave. Keeps asking if I want to try new medications. I push the laptop away. Stood up, sat back down. My wife, the woman I'd been spoon-feeding soup to, the woman I'd held while she cried herself to sleep, the woman I'd driven to therapy twice a week for 2 years. There was no therapist, was there? I heard the front door open. Al, you home? Her voice, that soft, fragile voice she'd been using for 2 years. The broken bird voice. I closed the laptop, stood up, grabbed my coffee mug. In here, I called back. She came into the kitchen wearing yoga pants and a sweater, cheeks flushed from her walk. She looked good, healthy. Had she always looked this healthy? How was the party? She asked, not quite meeting my eyes. It was nice, I said. Everyone asked about you. Oh. She moved to the sink, filled a glass with water. What did you tell them? The truth, that you weren't feeling well. She nodded, took a sip. I'm sorry I missed it. It's okay. She glanced at her laptop, then at me. Something flickered across her face. Had she realized she'd left it open? I might go lie down, she said. I'll bring you some tea, I offered. Like always. Like the good, devoted husband I'd been playing. Except now I knew we were both acting. Thanks, she whispered and padded upstairs. I stood in my kitchen, in the house we'd raised our daughter in, the house where we'd celebrated 37 Christmases, and realized I was married to a stranger. And she had no idea that I knew. To understand how I missed it, you have to understand how it started. It was April, 2 years ago, a Tuesday. I know because I was grading papers at the kitchen table when Claire came home from her book club. She usually came back chatty, wine-happy, full of gossip about who said what about which novel. Not that night. She walked in, set her purse down, and sat across from me. Her face was pale. You okay? I asked. I don't know, she said. I felt strange at book club, like I couldn't catch my breath, like the walls were closing in. I reached for her hand. Panic attack? Maybe. I don't know. I've been feeling off lately. Off how? She shrugged. Tired, sad, anxious about nothing. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. I think something's wrong with me, Al. Looking back now, I wonder how long she practiced that speech, that perfectly vulnerable confession, those manufactured tears. The next few weeks were a slow descent. She started sleeping late, going to bed early. She'd pick at her food, push it around her plate. She'd sit on the couch, staring at nothing while I watched the game. Talk to me, I'd say. I can't explain it, she'd answer. I just feel empty. Our daughter Emma called from Seattle, worried. Dad, Mom sounds different on the phone. She's going through something, I told her. We're handling it. But were we? Claire resisted seeing a doctor for weeks. It's just a phase, she'd say. Maybe menopause. But I persisted. Made the appointment myself. Drove her there on a Thursday morning in May. Dr. Harrison was kind, thorough. He ran blood tests, checked her thyroid, vitamin levels. Everything came back normal. He referred her to a psychiatrist, Dr. Sarah Morrison. A name I'd later discovered didn't exist at the address Claire gave me, but I didn't know that then. I just knew Claire went every Tuesday and Thursday at 2 p.m. and came back looking drained. She wants to try medication, Claire told me after the third visit, for depression and anxiety. Whatever helps, I said. The pills appeared on our nightstand. Sertraline, lorazepam. Real medications. I Googled them. Real prescriptions from a real pharmacy. How she got them without a real doctor, I still don't know. David must have helped. He had connections from his pharmaceutical sales job. I became an expert caregiver. Bought books, When Someone You Love is Depressed, The Anxiety and Depression Workbook, Supporting your spouse through mental illness. I highlighted passages, took notes, joined an online support group for partners. My wife has been battling depression for 3 months, I wrote in my first post. Any advice? The responses poured in. Stories of hope, of patience, of love conquering all. I believed every word. I changed everything about our life to accommodate her illness, canceled our annual camping trip, declined dinner invitations, stopped going to my monthly poker game. You go, Claire would say weakly. Don't let me hold you back. We're in this together, I'd answer, kissing her forehead. God, I was an idiot. The worst part, our sex life. It disappeared completely. She'd flinch when I touched her, pull away from kisses, lie rigid beside me in bed like a corpse. I'm sorry, she'd whisper in the dark. The medication, it kills my drive, and I just don't feel anything. I told her it was okay, that intimacy wasn't just about sex, that I'd wait as long as it took. Meanwhile, she was texting David, planning their new life, probably laughing at my patience. There were signs, of course, things that didn't add up, like how her depression had patterns. Worse on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Therapy days. Better on weekends when I golfed and she had the house to herself. Or how she'd sometimes forget to be depressed. I'd catch her humming in the shower, then she'd see me and her face would fall, shoulders slump. Or the walks. She started taking long walks every evening. Doctor. Morrison says exercise helps. She'd be gone an hour, sometimes 2, always took her phone, always came back looking, not tired, energized, flushed. I thought it was the exercise working. The Tuesday night I'm thinking of, about 6 months into her illness, I offered to walk with her. No, she said quickly, too quickly. I mean, Dr. Morrison says I need to do this alone, to process my thoughts. Of course, I said. Whatever helps. She left at 7 p.m. I watched from the window as she walked down our street, turned the corner. I went back to watching TV. At 7:47, our neighbor Jim texted me. Saw Claire getting into a car at the park. Everything okay? Must be her sister picking her up, I replied. Thanks for checking. But her sister lived in Phoenix. When Claire came home at 8:30, fresh-faced and slightly breathless, I asked, Good walk? Yeah, she said. Really cleared my head. Run into anyone? No, just me and my thoughts. I nodded, filed it away, made excuses. Depression makes people act strange, need space, need privacy. I was writing her cover story for her. That night, as she slept beside me, or pretended to sleep, I stared at the ceiling and thought, I'm losing her. I had no idea she was already gone. I need to tell you something shameful. I liked being the hero. There, I said it. When Claire got sick, something in me, some part I didn't know existed, came alive. I had a purpose beyond teaching dates and coaching plays. I was saving someone. I was needed. Alan, you're a saint, my sister Patricia said during Sunday dinner. Claire had excused herself to lie down, and Patricia watched her go with sympathy. Most men wouldn't have the patience. She's my wife, I said simply, in sickness and in health. Patricia squeezed my hand. Mom would be proud of you. I glowed, actually glowed with pride. The worst part? I started telling people, not gossiping exactly, but sharing. At the grocery store, the bank, the gym I'd stopped going to regularly. How's Claire? They'd ask. She's fighting, I'd say, voice heavy with meaning. Depression is a beast, but we're taking it one day at a time. They'd nod knowingly, pat my shoulder, look at me with such admiration. You're one of the good ones, Coach Al. I became an expert on her condition, could recite statistics about depression in women over 60, knew all the medications, their side effects, their interactions. I spoke fluently about therapeutic approaches, CBT, DBT, EMDR. Have you tried light therapy? Someone would suggest. Week 3, I'd reply, also doing vitamin D supplements and mindfulness meditation. I was professorial about it, organized, like I was coaching a team through a losing season, strategizing our way back to victory. I created systems, pill organizers labeled by day, mood tracking apps on my phone, a notebook where I recorded her sleep patterns, appetite, energy levels. Looking at it now makes me sick. Pages and pages of documentation of a disease that didn't exist. Tuesday, October 3rd, C slept 11 hours. Minimal appetite at breakfast. Therapy at 2 p.m. Seemed withdrawn after. Evening walk at 7. Better mood by bedtime. Translation: she stayed in bed, avoiding me. Skipped breakfast to text David. Spent the afternoon with him. Came home glowing from their time together and had to force herself to look miserable. But I didn't see it. I was too busy being super husband. I started cooking elaborate meals, thinking nutrition would help. I'd spend hours making her grandmother's minestrone soup, the one she loved as a child. She'd take 2 sips and push it away. "I'm sorry," she'd whisper. "It's perfect. I just can't." "It's okay," I'd say, refrigerating another untouched meal. "The effort isn't for nothing. I love taking care of you." Did I? Or did I love the image of myself taking care of her? My friend Rick called me out once. We were supposed to go fishing, but I canceled last minute. Again. "This is the 4th time, Al," he said. "When's the last time you did something for yourself? Claire needs me. Claire's a grown woman with a medical team. You need a life, too." "You don't understand," I said, getting defensive. "When someone you love is drowning, you don't go fishing." "No," Rick said, "but you don't drown with them, either." I hung up on him. Didn't speak to him for 3 months. He challenged my narrative, you see. The story where I was the hero, the savior, the perfect husband. The truth is, I was suffocating her with my care, or would have been if she'd actually been there. But she wasn't. She was checked out, gone, living a parallel life while I performed my one-man show of devotion. The night that haunts me most happened in January. Claire had been particularly bad that week. Hadn't left bed except for therapy. I'd brought her meals on trays, sat beside her reading while she stared at the wall. That Friday, I did something I'd never done before. I called her therapist. "Dr. Morrison, this is Alan Mercer, Claire's husband. I'm concerned about her lack of progress." There was a pause. Then a woman's voice, careful and professional. "I'm sorry, Mr. Mercer, but I can't discuss patient information." "I understand. Is there anything more I can do? Should we consider inpatient treatment?" Another pause. "Mr. Mercer, has Claire given you my direct number?" "No, I got it from her insurance card." "I see. Well, continue supporting her as you have been. You're doing everything right." "Thank you," I said, relief flooding through me. "That means a lot." I hung up feeling validated. Heard, even. It wouldn't be until months later that I'd realize I'd never actually called Dr. Morrison. There was no Dr. Morrison. That woman on the phone? Probably someone David arranged, another actor in their elaborate play. That night, I sat beside Claire in bed and held her hand. "I talked to Dr. Morrison today," I said. She stiffened. "What? Why?" "I was worried. She says you're making progress even if it doesn't feel like it." Claire turned to look at me. For just a moment, her mask slipped. I saw something in her eyes. Panic? Guilt? Calculation? "You shouldn't have done that," she said quietly. "I'm sorry. I just love you so much. I hate seeing you suffer." She studied my face for a long moment. Then she did something she hadn't done in months. She kissed me, softly, briefly, on the lips. "You're too good for me, Al," she whispered. For once, she was telling the truth. But before I could make my move, she made hers. And what she did next, I never saw coming. Drop a comment if you think you know what she did. Thank you for the 20K likes. Let's get this to 30K. Like, subscribe, and hit that bell, because the game is about to change. I need to tell you exactly what I found that Thursday afternoon, every detail, because even now, months later, I still can't believe it was real. After Claire went upstairs to rest, I waited 5 minutes, listened for her footsteps, the creak of our bed. Then I opened the laptop again. My hands were steady now. The shock had passed, replaced by something cold and methodical. The coach in me taking over. Analyze the game. Understand the opponent's playbook. The Google Doc was 47 pages long. 47 pages of my wife planning her escape. The first section I hadn't seen before. The story. It was a script. An actual script of what she'd tell people after leaving. I tried so hard to make it work. But Alan changed after retirement. Became controlling, monitoring my medication, tracking my moods, never letting me out of his sight. Dr. Morrison says it's a form of abuse, using my depression to keep me dependent. I had to leave for my mental health. I read it 3 times. She was going to paint me as the villain, the controlling husband who used her illness against her. The very care I'd been giving her would be weaponized as evidence of abuse. Brilliant. Evil, but brilliant. The next section. Assets. She'd cataloged everything. My pension, $3,947 monthly. My 401k, $487,000. The house value, $650,000. My father's watch collection I'd inherited, $15,000. Even the coin collection I'd had since childhood, $3,000. But here's what made my blood run cold. She'd already been moving money. Small amounts, $500 here, $750 there. Transfers labeled therapy copays or pharmacy costs. Money I'd given her for treatment that didn't exist. Running total, $67,000. In the comments, David had written, "Smart to keep it under $70K. No federal reporting requirements." Claire replied, "Learned that from your ex-wife's mistake, didn't we?" They were joking, making light of destroying my life. Then came the timeline. More detailed than what I'd seen initially. January 2024. Increase symptoms. Start talking about needing space. February 2024. Plant seeds about his controlling behavior with select friends. March 2024. A's retirement party. Skip it. Claim breakdown. March 30th. File papers while he's at grief support group. There it was. She knew I'd started going to a support group for caregivers. Knew my schedule. Was planning to serve me papers while I was literally at a meeting about how to better support her. The communication log went back 18 months. Their entire affair documented October 2022. D. Can't stop thinking about Seattle. C. That conference changed everything. D. When can I see you again? C. Give me time to figure this out. Seattle. She'd gone to Seattle to visit our daughter Emma. Spent a week there, except... I checked Emma's comments on Facebook from that time. Wish Mom could have stayed longer. 2 days wasn't enough. 2 days. Where was she the other 5? December 2022. D. The depression angle is perfect. C. Already started. He's buying it completely. D. You should have been an actress. C. I am, every damn day. March 2023. C. He made me a depression care package. Herbal teas, a weighted blanket, essential oils. D. Jesus, almost feel sorry for him. C. Don't. He likes playing the martyr. That stung. Because wasn't there truth in it? Hadn't I enjoyed the role a little too much? June 2023. D. My divorce is final. C. 6 more months, baby, then we're free. D. Worth the wait. You're worth the wait. C. He started sleeping in the guest room to give me space to heal. D. Perfect. Less acting required. I had started sleeping in the guest room. She'd been having night terrors, thrashing around, claiming the medication gave her vivid dreams. I'd offered to sleep separately so she could rest better. She'd cried, acted grateful, said I was so understanding. September 2023. You saw a house in Costa Rica, sending you the link. D. Incredible, that view. C. We could Airbnb the guest house. D. Our little empire. Zoo, funded by California community property laws. There were photos embedded, beachfront property in Tamarindo, screenshots of flights, visa applications. They'd been planning this for over a year, but the worst part was the practice runs section. Tuesday, therapy. Lunch at Bernardino's. Thursday, therapy. D's apartment evening walks, Siu, park meetup, a never follows. Sister calls. Signal app with D migraine days. Ache day trips to wine country. Every lie cataloged like a scoreboard. At the bottom, updated just 3 days ago. C. He's planning something special for my birthday next month. D. You'll be gone by then. C. I know, he mentioned jewelry. Maybe I can grab it before I file. D. You've earned it. My wife's birthday was in 5 weeks. I'd already bought the necklace, a sapphire pendant she'd admired months ago, back when I thought her distance was depression, not deception. It was in my sock drawer. $3,000 I'd saved from my retirement bonus. She was going to take that, too. I closed the laptop, went to the bathroom, threw up as quietly as I could. When I came back downstairs, I did something I hadn't done in 40 years of marriage. I took photos of everything, every page, every comment, every timestamp. Then I cleared the browser history so she wouldn't know I'd seen it, and I started planning my own timeline. The next morning, I made Claire breakfast like always. Scrambled eggs, wheat toast, fresh fruit arranged how she liked it. I brought it up on a tray with her pills and orange juice. "How are you feeling?" I asked, setting the tray on her nightstand. She gave me that practiced wan smile. "Tired. Always tired." "Dr. Morrison says that's normal," I said. "The medication takes time to balance." She nodded, picked at the eggs. I watched her take her pills, or pretend to. Were they even real antidepressants, or just vitamins she was play-acting with? "I might go to the library today," I said casually. "Return some books." "That's good," she murmured. "You should get out more." So you can text David in peace, I thought. But I said, "I'll be back by lunch. Want me to pick up anything?" "No, I'm fine." I kissed her forehead. She didn't flinch, but she didn't lean into it either. Just endured it. I didn't go to the library. I went to see Marcus Chen, a private investigator recommended by my lawyer friend Bill, who I'd called that morning with a hypothetical situation. Marcus's office was in a strip mall between a tax service and a bubble tea shop. Not what I'd expected. Marcus was younger than I'd imagined, maybe 40, wearing jeans and a blazer. He listened without interrupting as I laid out what I knew. "I need proof," I said. "Real proof. Not just what I found on her laptop." "Affairs are actually easier to prove than people think," Marcus said, "especially when the parties think they're being clever. This timeline helps. I can work backwards from what you know." "How long will it take?" "Give me 2 weeks, maybe less. People having affairs follow patterns. They get comfortable, sloppy. Your wife's been at this for 18 months. She's definitely gotten comfortable." He was right. Within 10 days, Marcus had everything. Photos of Claire entering David's apartment on therapy days. Time stamped. She'd stay exactly 90 minutes, the length of an extended therapy session plus travel time. Credit card records from her secret account showing hotel charges in Seattle when she was supposedly with Emma, the Fairmont Olympic. Room service for 2. Phone records showing hundreds of texts to a number registered to David Winters. Peak times, when I was at school or sleeping. Video from a neighbor's security camera showing David's BMW picking up Claire at the park during her walks. They'd kiss before she got in. Every time. Restaurant receipts from places she'd never been with me. Theater tickets for shows she said she had no interest in seeing. A weekend spa retreat in Napa when she'd told me she was at a depression recovery workshop. "Your wife isn't depressed, Mr. Mercer," Marcus said, sliding the folder across his desk. "She's having the time of her life." But I needed more than proof of the affair. I needed the financial fraud documented. That's where Diane Rodriguez came in. Forensic accountant, recommended by Marcus. Former IRS investigator who knew every trick. People think they're smart hiding money, Diane said during our first meeting. They're usually not. She was right, too. Within a week, Diane found a checking account at a different bank, opened 18 months ago. 3 credit cards I didn't know existed, all nearly maxed out. A safe deposit box at Wells Fargo, we banked at Chase. An investment account with $31,000 in it. Payments to Dr. Sarah Morrison that actually went to a shell company registered in Delaware. That shell company, owned by David Winters, she's been paying her boyfriend for fake therapy, Diane said. That's wire fraud. Can we prove it? Already did. The payments route through 3 accounts but end up in an account registered to David Winters DBA Med Consult LLC. It's a phantom company. No employees, no services, no real address. The scope of it was staggering. While I'd been reading books about supporting a depressed spouse, she'd been systematically looting our life. But the most valuable thing Diane found was a PDF in Claire's cloud storage. Divorce attorney notes. She'd already met with 3 lawyers. The notes outlined her strategy. Claim emotional abuse through caregiving control. Emphasize his monitoring of medication and moods. Document his isolation of me from friends. Spin the canceled social events. Potential for restraining order if he reacts badly. California favors 50-50 but can argue for more due to depression, disability. Hide assets before filing. He's too trusting to check that last line. Too trusting. She was right. I had been. I started my own documentation. Every day I'd journal what happened. Her behavior, her lies, her symptoms. But I'd also note my own actions. The care I provided, the meals I cooked, the space I gave her. I recorded conversations. California is a 2-party consent state, but our home security system records audio, and there's a sign by the door. Implied consent. I took photos of her medication bottles, noting the fill dates that didn't match her therapy appointments. I screenshot her social media. The private Instagram account I found where she looked radiant, happy, posting photos from wine country and restaurants. The captions were all positive, life-affirming quotes. No trace of depression. Most importantly, I never let on that I knew. Every morning, "How did you sleep, honey?" Every afternoon, "How was therapy?" Every evening, "Want me to make you some tea?" The same routine, the same concern, the same gentle, loving husband. Except now I knew I was performing too. The difference was, my performance had a purpose. Claire was acting to steal my future. I was acting to save it. 2 weeks after discovering everything, Claire announced she needed to visit her sister in Phoenix. We were having dinner. Well, I was eating while she pushed food around her plate. When she said, "Diane called today. She's worried about me." Diane, her sister, hadn't called our house phone in 6 months. I'd checked the caller ID religiously since my discovery. "That's nice of her," I said, cutting my chicken. She thinks I should come stay with her for a while. Change of scenery. Desert air." I looked up, frowning with concern. "But what about your therapy? Dr. Morrison? She can recommend someone in Phoenix. Or we could do video sessions." I set down my fork, appeared to think about it. "How long?" "Maybe 2 weeks? 3? 3 weeks. According to the Google Doc timeline, she was planning to file for divorce in exactly 3 weeks. "I don't know, Claire. You've never been away from your support system that long." She reached across the table, the first time she'd voluntarily touched me in months. "Please, Al. I think this could help. Diane's been through depression, too. She understands." Diane had never been depressed a day in her life. She was a real estate agent who did CrossFit and posted motivational quotes on Facebook. "Well," I said slowly, "if you think it would help—" "I do." Her eyes actually brightened. "I really do." "Then you should go." The relief on her face was almost comical. She squeezed my hand. "Thank you for understanding." "When would you leave?" "This weekend, Saturday." 3 days away. I pretended to hesitate. "That's soon. Will you be okay traveling alone?" "Diane's already bought my ticket." Of course she had. "Then I'll drive you to the airport," I said. "You don't have to." "I want to." Saturday morning, I loaded her suitcase into the car. It was heavy, heavier than a 2-week trip warranted. I wondered what she was taking. Photo albums, jewelry, things she didn't want to have to retrieve after the divorce. At the airport, I pulled up to departures, got out, grabbed her bag from the trunk. She stood there awkwardly like she didn't know how to say goodbye to the husband she was about to leave forever. "Call me when you land," I said. "I will." "And Claire." I pulled her into a hug, felt her stiffen, then force herself to relax. "I love you. Whatever you need to get better, we'll do it." For just a second, something flickered across her face. Guilt? Shame? But it passed. "I know," she whispered. You're a good man, Al." She pulled away, grabbed her suitcase, and walked into the terminal without looking back. I waited until she was inside. Then I called Marcus. "She's on the move." "Already on it," he said. "I've got someone at Sky Harbor. We'll know where she really goes." You won't believe what I did next, but I need you with me for this part. Hit that bell so we can uncover the truth together. Now, back to the story. She never made it to Phoenix. She flew to Las Vegas. David Winters picked her up at McCarran Airport in a rental Porsche. They drove to the Wynn, checked into a suite under his name. Marcus had photos within hours. Claire and David at the pool. At dinner at SW Steakhouse. At a Cirque du Soleil show. Laughing at a blackjack table. She looked radiant, alive. Her hair was styled, makeup perfect. She wore a dress I'd never seen, red, showing off legs I'd forgotten she had. "Depression's looking good on her," Marcus said dryly. "Keep documenting," I said. Meanwhile, I played my part. I called her that evening. "How's Phoenix?" "Hot," she said. I could hear music in the background, clinking glasses. "But good. Diane's taking good care of me." "That's great, honey. How are you feeling?" "Better. I think this was the right decision." "I'm glad. I miss you, but I want you to focus on healing." "Thank you, Al. You're so patient with me." The next day she texted, "Diane's taking me to a spa. Might not have phone service." "Enjoy it," I replied. "You deserve some pampering." She sent a heart emoji, the first one in 2 years. While she was at the spa, I went to work. I opened a new bank account at a different bank, transferred half our savings. Legal and smart, protecting marital assets from dissipation. I met with Tom Bradley, the best divorce attorney in the county, laid out everything. The affair, the fraud, the hidden assets, the fake therapy. "This is," Tom shook his head. "In 30 years of practice, this is one of the most calculated cases of marital fraud I've seen." "What are my options?" "Honestly, you could probably pursue criminal charges, wire fraud, theft by deception. But that's complicated. Better to handle it in divorce court. California's community property, but judges have discretion in cases of fraud. She's not getting half of anything." "What about alimony?" "For a woman who's been faking an illness while having an affair, not a chance." I also changed the beneficiaries on my life insurance and 401k, removed her from my will. All legal, she'd abandoned the marriage. Then I did something petty. I went to her jewelry box and took back my mother's engagement ring, the one I'd given Claire 37 years ago. Left her wedding band. She'd abandoned that too, even if she still wore it for show. The house felt different with her gone. Lighter. I slept in our bed for the first time in months. Cooked what I wanted to eat. Watched what I wanted on TV. On day 10 of her Phoenix recovery, she called. "Al, I need to talk to you about something." My heart rate spiked. Was she filing early? "What is it, honey?" I think I think I need more time here. Maybe another 2 weeks? Diane says I'm making real progress, but— Of course, I said, almost laughing at the irony. Take all the time you need. Really? You're not upset? Claire, your health comes first. Always. You're amazing, she said. I don't deserve you. Finally, something we agreed on. She stayed another week. Marcus documented everything. The shopping sprees with David, the romantic dinners, the couple's massage. She was building evidence against herself with every receipt, every photo, every lie. And she had no idea. Claire came home on a Tuesday. I picked her up from the airport and the transformation was remarkable. She'd lost weight, had a tan, her hair was highlighted. She looked like she'd been to a health retreat, not recovering from depression at her sister's house. You look good, I said, taking her suitcase. The sun helped, she said quickly, and Diane had me walking every day. That's wonderful. In the car, she seemed nervous, fidgeting with her phone, checking it constantly. Everything okay? I asked. Just tired from the flight. We drove in silence for a while. Then she said, Al, we need to talk when we get home. About what? Just things. Us. Here it comes, I thought. At home, she went straight to the bedroom to unpack. I heard her on the phone, whispering. Probably David, coaching her through the next scene. I made coffee and waited in the kitchen. She came down 20 minutes later, carrying a manila folder. Her hands were shaking slightly. She'd changed into what I call her serious conversation outfit. Black slacks, gray sweater, armor. Al, she began, sitting across from me. These past few weeks gave me a lot of time to think. Oh? About us, about our marriage, about everything. I stayed silent, let her perform. I've realized something. My depression, it's not just clinical, it's situational, and the situation is us. I don't understand. She took a deep breath. We've grown apart, Al. We're different people than we were 37 years ago. And I think we're holding each other back from being happy. You're unhappy with me? No, it's not. She paused, recalibrating. We're both unhappy. Admit it. We're just going through the motions. I'm not unhappy, I said quietly. Concerned about you, yes, but not unhappy. See, that's the problem. You've made my illness your whole identity. You're not my husband anymore. You're my caretaker, and I've become your patient, not your wife. The gaslighting was breathtaking. She'd created the illness, forced me into the caretaker role, and now was blaming me for it. So, what are you saying? She pushed the folder across the table. I think we should divorce. I stared at the folder, didn't open it. Divorce, I repeated flatly. It's for the best, for both of us. We can do this amicably. No fighting, just a clean break. You've already filed? No, these are just preliminary papers, from a mediator. We could avoid lawyers, save money, split everything fairly. Fairly. I almost laughed. I opened the folder, read through the proposed settlement. She wanted the house, she'd need stability during recovery, half my pension, half the 401k, 3 years of alimony, temporary support while she got back on her feet, her car paid off, monthly support payments for her ongoing therapy. Basically, everything. This seems— I paused, waited. I'm disabled, Al. The depression. Right, the depression. Something in my tone made her look up sharply. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing, just, you seemed pretty happy in Phoenix. Diane was helping me. Was she? I pulled out my phone, showed her a photo Marcus had sent. Claire and David at the Wynn pool bar, her in a bikini I'd never seen, laughing with a martini in her hand. The color drained from her face. That's not— I can explain— Can you? I swiped to another photo. Her and David at dinner holding hands across the table. Is this Diane too? You had me followed? I had you investigated. There's a difference. She stood up, the chair scraping. You had no right. I had every right. You're my wife. My supposedly depressed, suffering wife who needed space to heal. This is exactly why I need a divorce. You're controlling, paranoid. I'm informed. I stayed seated, calm. I know about David. I know about the fake therapy. I know about the $67,000 you've stolen. I know about the house in Costa Rica. Each revelation hit her like a physical blow. She gripped the table. How? The Google Doc. Our new life. You left your laptop open. She sank back into the chair. For the first time in 2 years, I was seeing the real Claire. No performance, no mask, just naked panic. Al, listen. No, you listen. I pulled out my own folder. Thick, heavy. This is my counter-proposal. You get nothing. You leave with what you stole and whatever's in your secret accounts. I keep the house, my pension, everything else. That's not how California works. It is when there's fraud, marital asset dissipation, intentional infliction of emotional distress. My lawyer says you're lucky I'm not pressing criminal charges. Criminal. Wire fraud. The fake therapy payments to David's shell company. That's federal. She was breathing hard now, cornered. You can't prove. I can. I have. Forensic accountants are thorough. So are private investigators. This is blackmail. This is consequences. She stood again, pacing. I'll fight this. I'll tell everyone you abused me, controlled me. Go ahead, I have 2 years of documentation. Every meal I cooked, every doctor's appointment I drove you to, every prescription I picked up, plus recordings of you admitting the depression was fake. She froze. Recordings? Home security system. You agreed to it when we installed it 5 years ago. She grabbed her phone. I'm calling my lawyer. Good, have them call Tom Bradley. He's expecting it. She stopped dialing. Tom Bradley was the shark everyone feared in court. You planned this. I adapted, just like you did. For a moment, we just stared at each other. 37 years of marriage reduced to this. 2 strangers negotiating surrender. I loved you, she said quietly. Once. I loved you too, I replied. Always. She looked away. So what now? Now you sign my papers, or we go to court and everything becomes public. Your choice. She sank into the chair, defeated. The great actress finally out of lines. Fine, she whispered, and just like that, it was over. Claire signed my papers 3 days later, but those 3 days were war. It started an hour after she left the house that Tuesday night, suitcase hastily packed, crying real tears for the first time in 2 years. Not tears of depression or manipulation, tears of rage. My phone exploded. First, her sister Diane, the real one. What the hell did you do to her, Alan? She's hysterical. I discovered the truth. What truth? She says you've been spying on her, controlling her. Diane, she never visited you in Phoenix. She was in Vegas with her boyfriend. Silence. Then, what? Check your credit card statements. Did you buy her a plane ticket? Did she stay with you for 3 weeks? A longer pause. Oh my God. Yeah. Alan, I had no idea. She told me you were smothering her, that she needed space. She told everyone what they needed to hear. Diane was quiet for a moment. The depression? Fake, all of it. Jesus Christ, I'm so sorry. One ally gained, but Claire had others. Her book club friends started calling. Her cousin in San Diego, our neighbors, the Petersons, each with the same script. I was an abuser, a controller, a man who'd used his wife's mental illness against her. I didn't argue with most of them, just said, there's more to the story, the truth will come out in court. But with some, I fought back. Like when Jennifer Hoffman, Claire's best friend since college, called me a monster. She's terrified of you, Alan. She says you tracked her every movement, controlled her medication. Jennifer, did Claire ever seem depressed to you? What? Of course. She's been struggling. When did you last see her? We had lunch last month. How did she seem? She was quiet. Did she tell you she'd just come back from a wine tasting weekend in Napa with David Winters? Silence. That's impossible. She was at a depression workshop. I have receipts, photos. Would you like to see them? You're lying. I texted her 3 photos. Claire and David at a winery, laughing, kissing, toasting champagne. Jennifer didn't respond, but she never called me a monster again. Thursday morning, Tom Bradley called. Her lawyer just contacted me. Sharon Mills. Good attorney. Mediocre. But that's not why I'm calling. Your wife is trying to file a restraining order. What? Claims you're harassing her, stalking her, making her fear for her safety. That's insane. I haven't contacted her once since Tuesday. I know, it's a tactic. If she gets the order, it looks bad for you in divorce proceedings. Makes her the victim. What do? We file first, our own emergency motion. Financial fraud, asset dissipation, request for exclusive use of the marital home based on her abandonment. Will that work? With what we have? Absolutely. We filed that afternoon. The hearing was set for Monday. Claire tried one more manipulation that weekend. Our daughter Emma called from Seattle sobbing. Dad, what's happening? Mom says you've lost it, that you're paranoid, that you're trying to destroy her. Emma, sweetheart, listen to me. Your mother has been having an affair for 18 months. That's crazy. She's been sick. She hasn't. It was all an act. Dad, how can you say that? I've seen her suffering. Have you? When? When she... Emma paused. When she visited me in Seattle. For a week, right? Yeah. Emma, you posted on Facebook that she only stayed 2 days. Silence. Where was she the other 5 days, Em? I could hear my daughter breathing, processing. Oh my God. I'm sorry you're finding out this way. The therapy? The medication? All fake. She was meeting David Winters twice a week instead. Uncle David, from the barbecues? His brother, actually. But yes. Emma was quiet for a long time. Then, I called you a bad husband. Last month, I said you weren't doing enough for her. You didn't know. She played me. Her own daughter. She played all of us. I'm flying home. You don't need to. I'm flying home, Dad. Tonight. Monday's hearing was brutal. Claire showed up looking fragile. Hair pulled back, no makeup, wearing the same kind of shapeless dress she'd worn during her depression. Her lawyer had coached her well. Sharon Mills painted a picture of an abused woman, controlled by a paranoid husband who monitored her every move, who violated her privacy, who turned her illness into a prison. For 40 minutes, I listened to lie after lie. Then Tom Bradley stood up. Your Honor, I'd like to submit Defense Exhibit A, the Google Doc. Page by page, Tom walked the judge through it. The timeline, the financial planning, the messages mocking my caregiving. And Exhibit B, the forensic accounting, the hidden accounts, the stolen money. Exhibit C, the private investigator's photos, Claire in Vegas, radiant and healthy, living it up with David while supposedly recovering at her sister's. Exhibit D, the fake therapy receipts, the shell company, the wire fraud. Claire's attorney tried to object, to claim the evidence was obtained illegally, that it was marital assets being used against her. Judge Harrison, a woman in her 60s who'd seen everything, looked over her glasses at Claire. Mrs. Mercer, did you write these messages? Claire looked at her lawyer, then back at the judge. I was in a different state of mind. It's a yes or no question. Did you write these messages? Yes. Did you create false medical documentation? I was desperate. Yes or no? Yes. Did you transfer marital assets without your husband's knowledge? Claire's shoulders sagged. Yes. Judge Harrison turned to me. Mr. Mercer, are you seeking criminal prosecution? I looked at Claire. She was crying again. Real tears. Tears of someone watching their carefully constructed plan crumble. "No, Your Honor. I just want a fair divorce." The judge nodded. Motion for restraining order denied. Motion for emergency financial protection granted. Mrs. Mercer, you have 48 hours to provide full financial disclosure. Any hidden assets discovered after that will be considered fraud. Claire's lawyer whispered urgently in her ear. Furthermore, the judge continued, based on the evidence of premeditated fraud, I'm ordering temporary exclusive use of the marital home to Mr. Mercer. Your Honor, Sharon Mills started, your client is free to retrieve her belongings with police supervision. Mr. Mercer, I suggest you change the locks. Outside the courthouse, Claire approached me. Her lawyer tried to stop her, but she shrugged her off. Al? I stopped. I know you hate me. I don't hate you, Claire. I nothing you. That hit harder than anger would have. For what it's worth, she said, the beginning was real. The first 20 years, they were real. Were they? Or was I just the safe choice until something better came along? She had no answer for that. Emma arrived that night. She hugged me for 10 minutes straight. I'm so sorry, Dad. I should have known. I should have seen it. Nobody saw it, Em. That's what makes it worse. We sat on the couch, sharing Chinese takeout, not talking about Claire. Finally, Emma said, You know what the worst part is? What? I can't trust my own memories anymore. Every happy moment, every family vacation, every birthday, I wonder if she was acting then too. I didn't have an answer for that either, because I wondered the same thing. The story broke wide open the following week. Not through gossip, through Claire herself. She posted on Facebook. A long, rambling message about surviving coercive control and finding herself after years of imprisonment. She claimed I'd isolated her, monitored her, used her mental health as a weapon. Within an hour, it had 47 comments, supportive messages from people who didn't know the full story. Then Emma commented. She posted 3 screenshots from the Google Doc, the ones where Claire called me pathetically easy to fool and laughed about my caregiving with David. This is my mother, Emma wrote. While my dad was cooking her meals and driving her to fake therapy, she was planning to rob him blind. Depression isn't a joke, and neither is lying about it. The post exploded. Claire deleted it within an hour, but screenshots were already circulating. Our small town fed on drama like this. My phone became unbearable. Old friends calling to express shock. Neighbors stopping by with casseroles like I was grieving a death, which I suppose I was. Rick, my fishing buddy who'd called me out months ago, showed up with a 6-pack. I'm sorry, Al. For what? For not pushing harder. I knew something was off. You said I was drowning with her. I didn't know she was the one holding you under. We drank in silence on my back porch, watching the sunset. You know what kills me? I said. Everyone keeps saying they suspected something. Jennifer knew Claire seemed too healthy. The Petersons noticed David's car in the neighborhood. Even the pharmacist mentioned Claire hadn't refilled her prescription in months. Everyone saw pieces. Nobody said anything. Would you have believed them? I thought about it. No. I'd have defended her. Exactly. The financial disclosure revealed more than even I expected. Claire had been planning this for 3 years. Not 18 months. 3 years. It started with a high school reunion she'd attended alone. I'd had a football tournament that weekend. David was there. Recently divorced. Successful. Still carrying a torch for his college girlfriend. They'd exchanged numbers. Just to catch up. The emotional affair started within weeks. The physical affair, months later. The depression scheme came a year after that, when Claire realized she needed an exit strategy that would leave her financially secure. She'd researched everything, bought books on depression to learn the symptoms, watched YouTube videos on mental health, joined online support groups to understand the language, the behavior, the progression. She'd been method acting our destruction. Tom Bradley called it the most sophisticated case of marital fraud he'd seen. "She could have just asked for a divorce," he said. "California's no fault. She'd have gotten half of everything anyway." "But then she'd be the bad guy," I said. "This way, she was the victim." Until she wasn't. David Winters disappeared. The moment the fraud allegations went public, he vanished, closed his social media, quit returning Claire's calls. His brother Derek told me he'd taken a job in Texas. "He never meant for it to go this far," Derek said when he came to apologize. "He thought she was actually leaving you. He didn't know about the money, the fraud." Bullshit. He created the shell company to help her pay less taxes on what she thought was her settlement. He didn't know she was stealing. He knew she was lying about the depression. Derek had no answer for that. Claire, meanwhile, was falling apart. For real this time. Her lawyer called Tom. Claire was willing to settle. Any terms. She just wanted it over. We met at Tom's office. Claire looked terrible. She'd lost more weight, her hair was greasy, her clothes wrinkled. Ironically, she looked actually depressed now. "I'll take the original deal," she said quietly. "What you offered, I keep what I took, nothing else." "That's generous considering," Tom said. "I know." She signed everything without reading it. Then she looked at me. "Can we talk? Alone?" Tom started to object, but I waved him off. When we were alone, Claire said, "I need you to know something." "What?" "I did love you. In the beginning. You were kind and stable and everything David wasn't. I thought that was enough. But it wasn't. No. And instead of being honest about it, I turned you into a character in my story. The controlling husband. The obstacle to my happiness. It was easier than admitting I was just bored. Bored. We became roommates, Al. You know we did. We hadn't had sex in 5 years, even before the fake depression. We did the same things every week. Ate at the same restaurants. Watched the same shows. So you decided to destroy me? I decided to leave. The destruction. That got out of hand. Got out of hand? You planned this for 3 years. I know. She looked out the window. I became someone I don't recognize. The lying became addictive. Every successful deception was a little high. Proof I was smarter than everyone thought. Especially me. Especially you. She met my eyes. You want to know the truth. The real truth. I waited. I resented you. For being so good. For never complaining. For making me the bad guy just by being decent. Even when I was treating you terribly, you kept being kind. It made me hate myself. And eventually, I hated you for making me hate myself. That's twisted, Claire. I know, I'm seeing a real therapist now, trying to understand how I became this person. Good luck with that. I stood to leave. Al? What I said in court, about the first 20 years being real. That was true. We were happy once. Maybe. Or maybe you were just better at pretending then. I left her there, staring out the window. That night I found our wedding album, looked through every photo, studying her face, looking for signs, for tells. But all I saw was a young woman smiling next to a young man who thought he'd found his forever. Maybe she had been happy then, or maybe I'd just been easier to fool. The divorce was finalized on a Tuesday in September, 6 months after I'd found the Google Doc, 5 months after the confrontation, 4 months after the settlement. I stood in the courthouse parking lot, holding the papers that officially ended 37 years of marriage and felt nothing. Not relief, not sadness, just empty. Emma was waiting in my truck. You okay, Dad? I don't know what I am. That's okay, too. We drove home in silence. The house felt different now. Not better or worse, just different. Like when you rearrange furniture and keep bumping into things in the dark. Claire had moved to Arizona. Not to her sister's. Diane wanted nothing to do with her. She'd gotten a small apartment in Tucson, was working at a real estate office. David was long gone, moved to Houston with a new girlfriend he'd met online. The gossip had finally died down. Our story had been replaced by the scandal of the mayor's affair with the city clerk. Small towns have short memories when fresh drama arrives. I started rebuilding. First, therapy. Real therapy. With a real doctor named Michael Brennan. "I feel stupid," I told him during our first session. "How did I not see it?" "You saw what you were supposed to see. She designed it that way. But there were signs that you can see now, in hindsight, with information you didn't have then. That's not stupidity, Alan. That's being human." We worked through the anger, the humiliation, the sense that my entire life had been a lie. "Not your entire life," Dr. Brennan corrected, "just parts of it. You were a real teacher, a real coach, a real father. Those things remain true." Slowly, I started believing him. I returned to coaching. Not full-time, I was retired after all, but as a volunteer assistant. Being back on the field, teaching kids plays, watching them grow, it reminded me who I was beyond being Claire's husband. "Coach Al," they'd shout when I arrived at practice. No pity in their voices, no judgment, just enthusiasm for what I could teach them. I started fishing again with Rick, joined a woodworking class at the community center, learned to cook things I actually wanted to eat, not just what Claire had preferred. Small freedoms, but they felt revolutionary. 6 months after the divorce, I met Helen. It wasn't romantic, not at first. She was in my grief support group. She'd lost her husband to cancer 2 years earlier. We bonded over the strange experience of grieving someone who was still alive. "The hardest part," she said over coffee after group, "is that I don't know which memories to keep. Were any of them real?" "I've decided they were all real," I said. "They just meant different things to each of us." Helen was nothing like Claire. She was direct, sometimes brutally so. She laughed too loud. She had opinions about everything. She'd never let anyone else order for her at a restaurant. We became friends, then walking partners, then dinner companions. One night, 8 months after the divorce, she kissed me. "I'm not ready," I said. "I know," she replied, "but you will be, and I'm patient." Emma got married the following spring, a small ceremony in Seattle. Beautiful. I walked her down the aisle, trying not to think about Claire's absence. But Claire wasn't entirely absent. She'd sent Emma a letter. Emma let me read it. "Em, I know I have no right to ask for your forgiveness. What I did to your father, what I did to you, was unforgivable. I let my unhappiness turn me into someone monstrous. I won't be at your wedding. That's my consequence to bear. But I want you to know that my love for you was never a lie. Even when I was lying about everything else, my love for you was real. Be happy. Be honest. Be better than I was." Mom Emma didn't respond, but she kept the letter. "Do you think she means it?" she asked me. "Does it matter?" "I guess not." A year after the divorce, I got my own letter from Claire. No return address, but I recognized her handwriting. "Al, I'm writing this as part of my therapy. Dr. Kelton says I need to acknowledge the harm I caused without expecting forgiveness. So, I acknowledge it. All of it. I stole 2 years of your life. I made you doubt your own perceptions. I turned your kindness into a weapon against you. I made you perform grief for an illness that didn't exist. I won't insult you with excuses. There are none. I'm working on understanding why I became someone capable of such cruelty. The simple answer is selfishness. The complex answer doesn't matter. It doesn't undo the damage. I hope you found peace. I hope you found love. Real love, not the performance I gave you. You deserved better. You always did. Claire." I read it 3 times. Then I put it in a drawer. I didn't respond. There was nothing to say. 2 years post-divorce, I'm okay. Better than okay, actually. Helen and I are together now. Not married, neither of us wants that again. But together. She moved in 6 months ago. The house feels alive again. I still coach, still fish. built a beautiful oak dining table in woodworking class that Helen insists is too nice to use. Emma has a son now. Named him Michael, after my father. He has my eyes and Emma's smile. When I hold him, I don't think about Claire at all. The anger is mostly gone. The humiliation, too. What remains is a kind of sad wisdom. The understanding that people can surprise you in the worst ways, even after decades. But also in the best ways. Like Helen, who makes me laugh until my sides hurt. Like Emma, whose loyalty never wavered. Like my own resilience, which turned out to be stronger than I knew. Last week, I saw Claire's obituary in the Phoenix paper online. Not dead, just her mother had passed. The obituary mentioned Claire as a surviving daughter living in Tucson. For a moment, I felt something. Not love, not hate. Maybe compassion. Or maybe just the echo of what compassion used to feel like when I thought of her. I closed the browser and went to make dinner. Helen was coming home soon. We were trying a new recipe. Something complicated with too many ingredients. "You sure you can handle this?" she'd teased that morning. "I can handle anything," I'd replied, and for the first time in years, I meant it. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's simply continuing to live, continuing to love, continuing to trust, despite having every reason not to. That's not weakness. That's the ultimate victory over those who tried to break you. They wanted you bitter. Choose joy instead. Alan Mercer, 67. Finally free. If this story hit home for you, don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit that bell so you're always notified.